Currently, Sudan constitutes the world's largest displacement crisis.
Many people are not paying attention to this war, facing such a huge humanitarian crisis and food insecurity, yet you don't really see it in media.
Do you think it's intentional?
Currently, Sudan constitutes the world's largest displacement crisis. The numbers are, anywhere between 11 and 14 million people have been displaced, many multiple times, including, our own family members who have been displaced 3-4 times. Over half the population of 48 million, which is, I think about 26 million or so, are on the brink of starvation, if you will, or facing famine in a country that I should add could easily feed itself and the entire region, right? If we think about the Jazeera, it was once touted as the breadbasket of the Middle East. It's got, very fertile land, many parts of, including Darfur, very fertile lands, right? But of course, part of what we've seen over the last 20 years during the Bashir regime was the privatization of the agricultural sector, the decimation of rural livelihoods, private sector investments, primarily from foreign countries. So I look at that in my own research.
Yeah.
And I've traced the approximately $27 billion that the Saudis and Emiratis have invested in Sudanese land and infrastructure, right, ports and things like that. And before the war, they controlled more Sudanese land than all of Sudan's domestic investors combined. And so just to take it a step back, at the very end of the civil war with South Sudan, there were Canadian companies, right, that were benefiting, oil and mining companies, European as well, that were benefiting from the war and were essentially giving the Sudanese government money to clear oil fields, right, at one of the most violent phases of the civil war. And so I mentioned that to say that, yes, whenever there are corporate interests, and all wars do, right, to some degree, the corporate media is going to be silent about it in the sense that they're not going to be revealing that aspect of the war.
Right.
The Congo, it's been going on since 1996. The entire Silicon Valley sort of runs on resources, right, that come from the Congo. And part of the reason we don't hear about it in the mainstream media is because of that profiteering. And similarly, I think the fact that we're not hearing about the largest humanitarian and largest displacement crisis in the world is because of the implications it then has for the international community to act.
Yeah.